In the previous chapters, we've talked about the D, the I, the S, and the C, and given you several of the traits, characteristics, and behaviors, if you will, of each of those modules, each of those characteristics. And so now what we're going to do is take a look at overall in general. You have a handout or a download that you can look at, and I'm going to cover a piece of this, but I want you to study this. It takes a lot of what we talked about in the other 4 chapters and puts them into a concise summary that you can see. This is something that you could put in your desk drawer or wherever you want to and make great use of it. But let's talk a little bit about it because it summarizes a lot of the traits. If we look at your download there, it talks about the descriptors of the D. It talks about value to the team. And one of the things that we didn't cover in that area was, well, what value does each of these traits bring to the team? And you can see there the high Ds, they're bottom line oriented, they're forward looking, they're challenge oriented. These are the people in your organization that are generally your pioneers and your entrepreneurs, and there can be intrapreneurs. I just found out that that's a word, I didn't know that. That there are people that are in the organization that can be entrepreneurs within an organization. So these are a lot of your high Ds fall in that category. And it talks about ideal environment that they operate in. Of course, none of us are in an ideal environment no matter what our job is, but there's traits and characteristics, if you will, or the culture that we can put people into that they can function more effectively. And it kind of gives you some outlines in each one of those. If we look at the I, we can see some of the traits, some of the general descriptors, and then value to the team of I's. I's are those that are in our group that are optimistic. They're creative problem solvers. A lot of times they're the ones that think outside the box. They're great negotiators of conflict, and we're talking about conflict resolutions. In many cases, I's, because of their sensitivity to people and relationships, they're pretty good at negotiating conflict. A lot of counselors are I's and S's, as we talked about earlier. If you look at the S traits, at the bottom of the page, you can see down there some of the traits and characteristics of the S. Value to the team. High S's, as you remember, are team players. They love working on a team. They're dependable. They're very loyal. They're the ones that kind of are the glue that holds the team together. Very, very well organized, if you will, in terms of the people side of team behavior. If you look at the ideal environment there, they like environments that have close relationships because these are very people-oriented high S's. Look at the C's. Up at the top, you can see that their value to the team on C's, they maintain high standards. They're the ones that we talked about are our quality control people, if you will. They're conscientious, they're steady, they're very objective in the way they go about doing things, and they're comprehensive problem solvers. So they bring to the team a very valuable part. So you can see the other traits and characteristics there that we had mentioned some in terms of descriptors, ideal environment, the emotions, and so forth. But one of the things I want you to take away from this model of the D, the I, the S, and the C, the D.I.S.C model, is that, again, no matter what style a person is in, whether they're a high D, high I, high S, or high C, that style is a good style. There's not a bad style. The key is that there's differences, and one of the things that we know is that we need each of the styles in order to be a complete team. So based on the style that a person is not a plus or a minus, but it just gives an idea about where they are and where they're coming from. And then to make a cohesive organization, one of the things we need to understand then is, well, how do we utilize people who are of different styles?